These are the videos that should give you an idea of how to do the debates and also the rebuttals. So we'll get started. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about why we're doing debates in this class. I've found that debate is one of the best tools to teach students the materials instead of just having tests or writing papers, etc. Debate has a lot of advantages, the first of which is active learning. That is, that you're the one that has to create these videos and present it in front of your classmates, essentially. Uh, so instead of just passive learning where you're taking in material and kind of regurgitating that material, debate forces you to kind of stand up and demonstrate uh, how much you've learned. And there's study after study that shows that active learning is much more effective than passive learning. Obviously, debate is an essential democratic skill. In our democracy, we're supposed to be informed citizens. We're supposed to be able to discuss and debate issues with one another, because the idea is that when we do that, we end up with better policies and better ideas. Um, Obviously, some of these skills are declining in our society. It seems like we yell at each other more than we actually have rational debates. I hope that we learn those skills as well. I find too that students tend to be a little bit more motivated when there's a competitive incentive. That is, you get extra bonus points for winning the debates, and that tends to motivate students. That whole you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink is so true as a teacher. The students, you can present material and have it be interesting and have a great class that you think you've crafted, but if the students aren't motivated, there's very little that you can do. Um, the debates, I think, add a little extra motivation, which is nice. We're doing what's called switch side debating, which is also a valuable skill because, switch side allows us to debate both sides of a topic and thereby kind of become better informed. In our society today, we have these things called echo chambers or filter bubbles, where, if we're on one side, we tend to only see the information from one side. And that makes you sort of one-sided, right? Not a full, well-rounded person. And debate teaches you to see the issue from multiple perspectives. This is also evidence-based debate, as you'll see. We'll back all of our arguments with research and with data, which might be very different than the debates we see in our public realm these days as well. Certainly more different than like a politician's debate where they rarely cite evidence, and because we want to back our opinions up with fact and evidence and data. There's a bunch of famous debaters, people who use debate as a springboard to something greater, including JFK, Malcolm X, Oprah Winfrey, multiple Supreme Court justices, like about half of the senators of the United States, and yours truly. I wouldn't be where I am today without debate. I think debate is an amazing educational tool, and people that involved in debate uh, end up oftentimes going on to higher successes because of the research skills, the public speaking skills, the critical thinking skills that debate helps develop. Okay, so enough of that. Let's get on to what a debate looks like. Also, be sure to check out the grading rubric for the debates that's posted on Blackboard or Canvas, whatever it's called now. I really encourage you on these slideshows to take notes as we go along. There's study after study that says that just watching a video, people don't retain very much information from that. And that when you do write something down, you tend to retain it much better. So I encourage you to write this down as we go along as a way to retain it. If I am asked questions that are answered in the video, I'll just direct you to these videos. First of all, what do the debates look like? There's basically 4 speeches. You'll be responsible for one of them. The first affirmative constructive is either 6 minutes long or 900 words long. Remember that when we do these debates, you'll post them on our blog, and you can either post a link to a video of yourself giving the speech, or you can just post the written version of the speech. So if it's a video, 6 minutes. If it's a written version, 900 words, which is about 3 pages of text. The same thing with the negative. First negative constructive comes next, 6 minutes again, or 900 words. Please, remember to state which speech you are when you post these speeches as well. Those are constructive speeches. That's where you're building your case. After that comes the rebuttal, and the first affirmative rebuttal would be responding to or rebutting the negative arguments. This is a 5-minute speech or 750 words. It's a little shorter because these speeches are a little more difficult. They're a little harder to fully script out in advance. And then the first negative rebuttal, the same thing where you're responding to the affirmative arguments with 5 minutes or 750 words. What happens in each of these speeches? What are the responsibilities? Well, the 1AC is the first constructive, right? First affirmative or first negative constructive. These are scripted speeches. Obviously, you can write them out and just read them in advance. These are not delivery grades, so I'm not going to grade you on how pretty your video is or something like that. So you can script these speeches out, and the idea in these speeches is just building your case, right? What are the reasons, according to you, that digital media are net beneficial for politics, for instance, for our first debate? Or what are the reasons that they're not net beneficial for politics? We'll talk more about what those reasons look like here in a minute. Then the 1AR and the 1NR, and we'll have a separate video on doing rebuttals here in a moment. But this is the rebuttal and wrap up, right? You're answering their arguments because they haven't been responded to yet, right? And then you're kind of giving us an overview of the debate. Given what my partners argued, given what I have argued, here's the reason, our sort of closing argument. Here's the reason we have won the debate. So the constructives, what do these cases look like that we're talking about? I'm going to give you some examples here and just talk through these a little bit. Generally, you start off your speech with an introduction, right? You state the resolution and whether you're for or against it. So we affirm the resolution that digital media are net beneficial for politics, or we are against the resolution that digital media are net beneficial for politics. And then preview the main points you will cover. The main points are the sort of big points, the overarching points. You don't have to preview each sub point, for instance. And we'll call these advantages or disadvantages, right? So advantages of digital media for politics, or a disadvantage of digital media for politics. These are scripted, and again, the bulk of the first two speeches, the constructives. And an advantage or a disadvantage are the big major claims you will make to support your case. So maybe digital media benefit innovation, or digital media facilitate terrorism. An advantage of innovation, a terrorism disadvantage. Typically, for the readings that we have, the advantage or the disadvantage is basically the subject of the entire chapter or the entire article that we read. So, an article would have a thesis, right? This thesis is to, promote the idea that digital media are divisive or polarizing. This article, defends that idea. So that would be your disadvantage, that digital media are divisive or polarizing. And then you make the sub-arguments underneath that. Each constructive will have 1 to 2 disadvantages or advantages. If you can fill up 6 minutes just really fully developing one, that's good. Or maybe 3 minutes for each one, or 4 minutes for one and 2 minutes for the other. But you'll just develop those advantages or disadvantages, sort of preview them at the beginning and of your speech, and then be sure to label them as you switch to them, right? Advantage 1, digital media benefit innovation. Advantage 2, digital media lead to more watchdogging, and citizen journalism, for instance. Also, each of the videos, when we go through like affirmative 1 and affirmative 2, etc., as we're doing the briefs, I'll have a video that says, here's the advantages in these articles, right? So what does an advantage or disadvantage look like? First of all, there's kind of two major components. The first is the links, called the links. Why digital media are linked to the major claim, right? Why are digital media harmful for politics? Or why are digital media divisive, for instance? Why are they polarizing? Here, why do they improve innovation? Why do they facilitate terrorism, right? Typically, you're going to want to have more links than anything else, right? If I'm arguing the digital media is polarizing, I want to try to provide as many different reasons or proof of that, examples, studies, statistics, right, to back that claim up as I can, because the more links I have, then the harder it is to refute. Also, diversify your reasons, your links. Don't be repetitive, right? Like, for instance, if you find a study that says, Americans have grown increasingly polarized, don't just repeat that study multiple times. Find a different study, find a different example, find a different reason, and diversify your reasons. And each of these arguments typically will be backed up with a source or a brief, either the in-class or the out-of-class sources or briefs. And then the second element of an advantage is the impact. Basically, why does this matter, right? Why are jobs important? Why does innovation matter? Why is terrorism harmful? This will be really important for your rebuttalists because, if you can prove that your argument has the largest impact, then the rebuttalist, as they're wrapping up the speech, can say, maybe the other side has won some of this argument, but ours has the largest impact. Ours affects the most people, or is the biggest impact because it's deadly or something like that, right? This comes typically at the end of your advantage. So I've given you 5 reasons why digital media improve innovation, and then I'll talk about why innovation is really key to the economy and preventing recessions, for instance. And you may have to do a little outside research to find a powerful quote or a statistic to develop your impact, right? So if you're talking about, for instance, how digital media holds the promise to solve heart disease, you might want to go find a statistic on how many people die of heart disease to impact, your advantage. Or if you want to talk about, if you're talking about like privacy and freedom, maybe you want to find a quote about the importance of privacy or the importance of freedom, and why that matters so much. So as you're developing each link or impact, you can start with a claim. That is, what's the argument overall, right? What are you claiming? What are you trying to prove? You can number these and be specific. So don't just repeat and say, digital media improve innovation. Digital media improve innovation. How? The claim is how. Digital media improve innovation by freeing up resources. Digital media improve innovation by giving us new tools, etc. And then each of those claims will be backed with evidence or data. This can be anything from a quote from an article, an example, either that you have heard of or that you come across in one of the readings, the study, the statistic, your elaboration, why this might be the case, your causal reasoning, why this might be the case. So typically you're going to back it up with one of our briefs. And as you cite sources, be sure to cite them in your speech. You don't have to read the full source, but do say the author's name, their qualification, and the date. So for example, I might say Jenkins, a professor at the University of Cincinnati in 2014. So I'll give you a couple of examples, an example advantage and an example disadvantage. These are ones that we're not really covering in class, so you'll have to translate them to the topics that we do cover, but this should give you sort of an idea. So I'd say our first advantage is that digital media benefit the economy by sparking innovation. Um, Reason number one, digital media create meta ideas that open new avenues for businesses. And I'm going to insert a quotation from one of our readings to back that up, right? Remember, this is just sort of the outline of the advantage, and you would obviously have to fill it in and flesh it out. Reason number two, digital media create innovations in efficiency and cost savings. And here I'm going to tell a story from one of our readings about these Congolese fisherwomen who use their cell phone to reduce waste. Number three, digital media provide access to information that boosts innovation. And again, some backing, some support here. Number four, computing power will create new technological innovations. And here I'm going to talk about driverless cars and 3D printers and the economic benefits that they might have. And then at the end of my advantage, I have my impact. Innovation is crucial to jobs and economic growth. And I'm going to use a source here to prove this argument. Here's an example. Disadvantage, jobs. I start off our first disadvantage is that digital media will destroy jobs. Reason number one, digital technology is accelerating and replacing manufacturing jobs. And I'm backing that up with some support from one of our authors, Nicholas Carr. Number two, digital media are beginning to replace even knowledge-based jobs. That is, jobs that aren't like factory line jobs, but nurses and paralegals and other paraprofessionals. And I've got some examples of that about a hospital, hiring robotic nurses. Digital media, number three, digital media will replace jobs faster than humans can adapt. One of the responses to this advantage is that humans will adapt and there will be new jobs that emerge because of that. But I have a quote from our author that says, no, digital media are going to replace jobs too fast for that to happen. Number four, I've got some examples of other jobs at stake. Driverless cars, destroying jobs for taxi and truck drivers, 3D printers hurting retail sales and the jobs that go along with that, etc. Number five, digital media take wealth from the middle class and give it to a few corporations who exploit our free labor on the internet. I have some support from an author here who explains how, like Google and Facebook, etc., take the effort that we put forth online and kind of make money off of that, which he says is creating monopolies. Obviously, like Facebook and Google are pretty large monopolies. And then my impact, jobs are crucial drivers of the economy. More jobs mean more growth. And I have, again, a supporting quote here, or supporting source to back up that. So that's basically your constructives, right? Each, you have a main point, your advantage or your disadvantage, and then underneath that you have separate arguments that start with the claim, as you saw, digital media will destroy jobs at the manufacturing level. And then support for that claim or backing for that claim. Again, each of those, the backing and the support will be longer than the claim and should be filled out. This is just an outline. But that's how you do your speech. It's very similar to giving a normal public speech where you present an argument and you back it with your support. The only difference is here that we kind of have dueling public speeches. So I hope that makes sense, and if not, we have our office hours on Friday. You can come and talk about those, and we will have coaching sessions coming up. Have a good rest of your day.